even just give a little bit of what's going on here. Jesus is now up on a mountain. He's before a multitude. And some people came down to where he was, and they kneeled down to him and sang. If I can make my first point, their kneeling was a sign of desperation. When you kneel before someone, oftentimes when you have deities that people kneel before, it is a sign of not just respect, but it's putting yourself in a position of helplessness. When you kneel, you cannot run away. When you kneel, you are submitting to the authority of the person in front of you. That's why when husbands or when boyfriends propose, well, how they used to. I know they got new age stuff now. I know they send them a text message. But how you used to, will you marry me on that? That's what they do. They send a text message. Will you marry me? And she respond, yes. That's new school. But you would kneel to show your honor and submission. Amen. So now these people came and they kneeled. They were helpless. And said, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic. He now has an illness in his mind. And he is sore vexed. And how now did we define this illness in his mind? Because he oftentimes, he falleth into the fire and oft into the water. There's something wrong. Because fire is hot. And it's something to make a mistake one time and fall into something that is hot. But if you do it over and over and over again, there is something wrong. The Bible declares he was a lunatic. Now I'm going to blow somebody's mind in this room. But if the same bad thing keeps happening to you over and over again, and you keep on walking into the same situation again, how many people know you are operating in lunacy? If God promised to take care of you, and you step out of this care and go into the fire, get burned, then you go back out and step out into the care again, I want you to know the Bible defines as a lunatic. Yes. So now here we are right now, and they said that this man is a lunatic because he often falls into the fire and into the water. And the disciples, and he said, I brought him to the disciples, and they could not cure him. In other words, those that were following Jesus had an expectation, I hear God now, to be able to do what Jesus does. Can I break it down? Those that were following Jesus, they expected that the disciples were just as powerful as Jesus. They had an expectation. If Jesus was able to heal, the disciples were able to heal too. In other words, because they were in the company of Jesus. All right, but y'all not catching it. Let me break it down a little bit. Because you go to church every single Sunday, because you claim the Lord, people have an expectation. Yes, amen. Amen. I'm gonna break it down a little because y'all still not catching it. But because you claim to love the Lord, because you claim him to be your Lord and Savior, because you claim him to be first in your life, people have an expectation. That's right. Y'all still not may not be getting it. If you had a chance to meet Sally Gates or Billy Gates or whoever they are, and you found out their father was Bill Gates, who's not just any Bill Gates, but the one Bill Gates who started the company Microsoft, you have an expectation for them not to be broke. All right. That's right. You have an expectation for them to have money because of who they were around. Amen. Oh, but wait a minute, because now they're still not catching it. If I go into the doctor's office, I have an expectation before I walk in that he went to medical school and he's heard problems similar to mine and he knows how to properly diagnose me. I have an expectation.
That's right. Amen. Amen.
So these people went now to the disciples, to the followers of Jesus. They had an expectation.
Amen. Amen.
But their expectation was not met. The disciples fell short of their expectation. And how many people have ever had anybody fallen short of your expectation before?
Amen.
I don't care who it was. I don't care if it was a friend that people spoke highly of. I don't care if it was a doctor that really wasn't all that.
Yes.
I done been to some restaurants and some people have told me, you better go here. The food is good. As soon as you go here, it'll be the best. And I walk in and say, I don't know what restaurant they went to, but it's not the same one I walked in today.
All right. All right.
Expectations are broken all the time. You ever spend your money for a movie sitting there after 2 hours and say, what did I just spend my money for? And you want to go back and ask for a refund or ask for those 120 minutes back into your life? We have expectations are broken all the time.
Amen. Yes, amen.
So now the disciples broke these people's expectation. Jesus answered and said, "Oh, you faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him to me." Now, when I first saw that many years ago, I was very disturbed by that. And I said, well, gee, how could Jesus be so harsh to them? He called them faith and perverseless generation. How could he be so harsh? Well, Jesus simply wasn't harsh. He simply just had an expectation. Can I just break it down just a little bit? Because I had this issue last Sunday. I drove up here last Sunday, and I had a flat tire. Y'all got quiet like ain't none of y'all ever had no flat. Y'all know when you get in the car and you're the value, you know, okay. And then the rest of y'all ain't I'm going to talk to now. But I had an expectation once I made it to Firestone on Central Avenue that I was not driving out with a... I expected it to be fixed.
That's right.
Now listen to this. Was that an out there expectation? Should I have to speak in tongues and roll over?
No.
If it say Firestone outside, that is my expectation.
That's right.
If I would have left it there for 2 hours, and after 2 hours they say we looked and we prayed and we fasted and everything and we tried and we gave it our best, but we still couldn't fix it, I would say then take the Firestone sign off the door.
Well, all right, amen.
But Sister Darden, if I pulled up to Elizabeth or got told up to Elizabeth Avenue and blew the horn and said, Darden, can you come out for a minute? Help me with this tie. Get this fixed for me. I have a bad expectation.
That's right.
There's no reputation to being able to fix things.
Amen.
So I can't get upset if I don't walk out with it being fixed. Jesus now spoke to the disciples and said, you've been around the fixer. You've been around me for a long time. These people have an expectation and you broke the expectation. In other words, take your sign down.
All right. All right.
I'm going to talk to us Christians for a while. Don't wear the sign of Christianity if you don't want to have no expectations.
Amen. All right, amen.
People expect you to love them. They expect you to treat them right. We all have expectations. We all have requirements.
Amen. Yes, yes. Amen. That's right.
You've been to a restaurant. You've been to the fast food place before. When you go up to the counter, you don't want to look like you annoying that person and you getting on their nerves. Your expectation is if they're standing behind the counter that you give them your order, they give you the food, and you hand them the money.
That's right. Amen.
Well, you can't expect her to do. You expect her to give you change and give you the food, and that's a lie. Then what are you standing behind the counter?
That's right. Amen.
So now Jesus spoke and he said, you faithless and perverse generation, you've been with me, you've been carrying my signs, you've been following me, you should be able to do what I do.
Amen.
The Bible declares, and Jesus rebuked, and I want you to catch this, the devil. I'm going to say this again. And Jesus rebuked the devil. The man was a lunatic, and Jesus rebuked the devil. I'm going to say it again. The man was falling into the fire, but Jesus rebuked the devil. Can I break it down? He didn't rebuke the man. He rebuked the devil in the man. Amen. And some of us have an issue rebuking and judging others. As soon as somebody do something or say something we don't like, we love to rebuke people and rebuke others.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
But can I really blow your mind? When you rebuke people, you're rebuking God.
All right, amen.
For the Bible declares in Genesis 1:1 that we are, Genesis chapter 1 rather, that we are made in the image and likeness of God. And now we are sons of God. So when you rebuke somebody else, you might as well be rebuking God himself. Jesus did not rebuke the young man, but he rebuked the devil.
All right, amen.
Sometimes you've got to be able to get to the source of the problem.
Amen.
Not the symptoms. If you have the flu, you can keep buying tissues from ShopRite. You can get you some cough drops. But you are not attacking the problem. You are attacking the symptom.
Amen. Amen.
If your roof is leaking, you can get you a new bucket and then get another bucket and then swipe that one out and get another bucket and then put some stuff up here and put some stuff on the floor. But you are attacking the symptom. At some point in time, you've got to get to the cause of the problem.
Amen.
So the Bible declares that Jesus now rebuked the devil and he departed out of him. And the child was cured that very hour. The disciples then came to Jesus and said, why couldn't we do what you just did? They said, what is your trick? You ever had something that you had to work hard for? And somebody asked you what the trick was, and you say the trick is working hard and getting up every day. You can do the same thing. You don't say nothing to me.
That's right. Amen.
It's not no magic. It's not no trick.
That's right.
You work hard at something, it can be done. If you don't work hard, it won't be done.
Amen.
But the disciples now looked and said, why could not we do what you just did? And Jesus spoke to them and said, because of your unbelief.
Yes.
Nothing can happen unless you first believe it can happen. This is, as we look around this room, what's enabling, and not your glasses, but what's enabling you to see, if you're holding a Bible, the words in front of you, or not trip over you? What's enabling you? Anybody? What's enabling you to do that? But yeah, but it's on one basic. Even if you had vision, if we walked in this room, what's enabling you not to be tripping over everything once you walk in this room? Not you personally. Every room has it.
A floor.
What's enabling you to see?
Light.
The lights. Now, I live in West Orange. I live next to the Thomas Edison, I believe, memorial. And Thomas Edison is given credit as the one who created the light bulb, but it was a man who worked for him by the name of Lewis Howard Latimer, an African American, who created the light bulb.
Amen. Amen.
But with this light bulb that we take for granted right now, you may think it to be nothing if you drop a light bulb or you change light bulbs, but I'm not going to say anybody in their lifetime. I don't think lifetimes span that long in this room. I don't think. I'm looking around. But there was a time where there were no light bulbs, and you had to light candles.
Amen.
You couldn't put candles up there because the candles could fall and they could drip or they could burn and they were a hazard. But somebody dreamed and thought and believed that there was another way. So they formed it in their mind before it happened, and now it simply just becomes our reality.
Amen.
So this is what happens with dreams. First, they are in your mind. Then you make it happen. But sometimes when it's something good, then you don't realize how you could have lived without it.
Amen.
Can I give you another example? Because Gabriel, this is right now, if you walk on the bus or you go anywhere right now,
That's right.
you used to couldn't see this. Just 10 years ago, you didn't see this.
That's right.
Go watch some kids standing outside right next to each other.
That's right.
15 seconds later. And it's not just kids either. Oh, y'all ain't saying nothing.
That's right.
I'm just telling y'all the truth right now. It ain't just children.
No.
There's some senior citizens. You'd be surprised how many cell phones you see in the senior citizen building. I'm telling you the truth.
Amen.
It was something that we lived without, but now that we got it,
Amen.
oh Lord have mercy. Some of y'all get your cable cut off for just a week. You lived without it before.
Yes.
But now that I have it.
Yes.
So he said to them, because of your unbelief, it did not happen because you didn't believe it could happen.
Amen.
If you don't believe that you can do better, then you don't do better. If you don't believe you deserve better, you won't get better. If you don't believe you're not going to be broke, then you'll stay broke. If you don't believe you can be healed, then you'll stay sick. The first step is believing that it is even possible.
Amen. Go ahead, Pastor.
Amen.
Somebody had to believe something that is possible.
Amen.
Back in 1998, that was 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago, right? I was 17 years old. 1998. I did not think that in my lifetime, and I only lived 17 years, I would ever see an African American as president of the United States. It was not in my purview.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you the truth. It was not, I did not, you could have said it to me. The closest we got was Clinton. We was happy. I'm just telling you the truth. He was president in 1998. I did not think, I did not even believe it to be possible. But I'm so glad that somebody else's mind wasn't restricted by mine.
Yes.
All right. Amen.
And somebody thought it was possible that they could be president with a name most people can't even pronounce.
Wow.
Amen.
And because they thought it was possible, they made it possible. But can I give you another example? 8 years later, I did not think that man with all those hotels in Atlantic City. You ain't saying nothing.
Go ahead, Pastor.
Jesus.
I didn't think the one that had the TV show with Apprentice and Omarosa and the rest of them coming on Channel 2. I did not, NBC rather, I did not think, it did not cross my mind
Yes.
that could one day be our president. But it crossed his mind.
Well,
All right. Amen.
And because he thought it to be possible, guess what? It was so.
amen. That's right.
So in order for you to get anything, you first have to believe it is possible. Yes, it could happen to me. I don't know why listen, our mind is so polluted. Because many of us have no problem believing bad things can happen to us. No problem at all. I could get up, I could get hit by a car, I could get sick. This could happen to me, that could happen to me. Many of us have absolutely no issue at all thinking that bad things could happen to us. Sometimes there's some of us that get up every day expecting bad.
Jesus.
I can tell you the truth. We expect bad to happen. We expect misery to hit. When you cross the street, why do you look both ways? I hope you know. When you cross the street, why do you look both ways? So you walk to avoid danger.
Amen. For moving cars. Amen.
But many of us in our lives are expecting. Now, listen, wait a minute. Don't nobody walk out here and say, Pastor said have faith and don't look both ways when you cross the street. That's a lie. I did not say that. I want nobody walking out this room thinking I said that. The Bible declares you must watch as well as
Pray. Amen.
But the same way we could expect badness to happen. Most of us know that one day we're going to die. But I hear this. One day I'm going to die, but today I'm going to live. Oh, y'all can catch that.
All right,
I'm going to say it again.
Amen.
Go ahead, say it again, Pastor.
I don't know when I'm going to die,
That's right.
but I do know when I'm going to live.
Amen.
See, I'm going to say it again.
Amen.
I don't know the date I'm going to die, but I know today is the day I live.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
All right.
Amen. That's right.
Some folks are living toward the day of their death, which is one day, instead of living toward your life, which is today.
Yes. Amen.
So he said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say to you, if you have faith as the grain of a mustard seed. Now we've all heard this song, mustard seed faith, and I need me a mustard seed, and the mustard seed is small.
Yes.
But here's what's the thing about having faith as the size of a grain of a mustard seed. It's not that that's all the faith you can have and that you only need a little bit of faith, but it's more than that. When you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you show your intention.
Yes. Amen.
You say, God, I'm human. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I believe that it can happen. In other words, you just crack the door open.
Go ahead, Pastor. Preach.
But how many people know just by cracking the door open?
Yes. Glory to God. That could be enough. Amen.
How many people slept with your door unlocked last night?
Hold on.
Amen. But was the outside one unlocked too? See, that's right. I'm telling you. Not both of them. We don't sleep with our door unlocked. As a matter of fact, when you walk away from your car, you got the button. How many people press that button 1, 2 times? You don't hear the thing. You go, wait, hold on.
That's right.
Wait.
Amen. Amen.
That's right. Amen.
Because you realize that if you leave it unlocked, all it takes is one unlocked door.
That's right.
All it takes is one crack for somebody to get in.
That's right.
So God said, the reason all you need is mustard seed faith. I just need a little crack just to get in. I can fill your house with blessings, but you locked every single door. The reason some of you is not blessed is not because God didn't bless you. It's because he couldn't get in. Uh-oh.
Well,
All right.
If you order something, a package, and they keep knocking on the door, they keep putting those slips outside your door, you don't ever respond to those slips, you don't ever come and open your door, then guess what? The package ain't getting in.
That's right.
All right.
And some of us on today, it's not that God didn't bless us, it's that we didn't open the door. So he said, verily I say to you, have faith as a grain of a mustard seed. You can now say to this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall be removed. In other words, if you have faith as the grain of a mustard seed, you can now speak to impossible situations and have them move. How people know Inez Andrews?
Not personally. No offer.
No offer. I'm sorry, I don't think how many met her. Amen. But how many heard of Inez Andrews? I've heard. And listen, and listen, y'all know I love good old gospel. But I take issue with the song, Lord, don't move my mountain.
All right.
But give me the strength to climb.
Amen.
One thing, I'm going to tell you something personally about me. This is personal. I don't care if I'm at work. I don't care if I'm in school. I don't care if I'm in church. I don't care where I am. If there's an easier way to do something, I'm going to do it the easier way. That's just me personally. I'm not going to take the hard way because it feels better. So now Jesus is saying, if you have this faith, you can now say to this mountain, move.
Amen.
In other words, you don't have to endure difficulty. All you've got to do is tell it to move.
Amen.
There's a place, I think New Brunswick is about 32 miles from here, if I'm calculating correctly, about 30 miles, somewhere.
Not quite, but...
Not quite, about 20-something?
Yeah.
About 24
Yeah.
miles, let's give it 24.
Trenton is 30.
Trenton is 30, okay, then let's give it Trenton. If I was trying to get to Trenton, There are varied ways I can get to Trenton. I'm sure that when the state of New Jersey started, I could either get ask somebody to get a horse and a carriage. I'm just telling you the truth. And probably with the horse and carriage, it might have taken me maybe about a little under a day. You know, moving at the speed of the horse and carriage. I could even start walking now. There's ways to get there without walking. I don't even have to get on the highway. I can just continually walk. I can walk all the way through, make my way on the side, walk up through South Jersey, just walk all the way through and end up in Trenton. And maybe get there in a few days. I could take a bunch of local buses. I mean, when I could just local it all the way up. I can just take a local bus and get up to somewhere in South Jersey to take another local bus and get over there and do that and start at 9 o'clock in the morning and maybe about midnight. Make my way to Trenton. I could drive. And I could take a train. Now, if two of us say we're going to Trenton, I say there's an express train leaving Penn Station. I'm going to get on the express train. And the other person said they're going to walk. And they get there next week. And I get there within a few minutes. Or under an hour. Is there something wrong with me because I chose the quicker way?
No.
Because I didn't endure the walking. Because my feet did not hurt. Because I didn't say, Lord, give me the strength as I climb these highways and byways. As I was looking for a drink of water and could not find it. But I said unto God, my Savior, if you just give me a little more strength just to make it through. If I was just going through and say, Lord, I'm trying, but I almost can't even get there. Lord, I'm just pressing, I'm almost there. I almost see the sign.
Amen.
It would be foolish. But many of us do the same thing in our lives.
Amen.
We decide to take the long way, then want to pray to God to give us strength on the foolish journey we decided to take. God said all you had to do was go this way. But we decided to take the long way and say, Lord, please help me as I'm going along this way. He said, now with this faith, I want you to speak. He said, you can speak to a mountain and tell it to move. Listen to this. I've got work to do. And I'm just going to tell you the truth. I ain't got time to be climbing mountains. That maybe you may have some free time. I don't have free mountain climbing time. In order to do what God has you to do, you've got to be able to speak and to make it move. Some stuff you just got to move out of your way. And that mountain doesn't have to be a physical mountain, because I found out in my life God will move situations, but God won't just move mountains. But I declare, I found it to be the truth, God will move people out of your way.
Yes, that's right.
I've had some people in my way, and I've watched God move them. I'm telling you the truth. Sometimes you got to pray the best prayer. Amen. Just Sharon or just anybody. How many people has always got along with your boss or supervisor and you just love them, and as soon as you got home and you just prayed the Lord God in heaven, thank God for sending such an understanding and such a supervisor your way, and you spoke good of them and you thought highly of them. How many people that's your testimony all the time? Well, that's beautiful. Amen. That's, amen. Well, thank God. Amen. But just for the rest of us in this room, we've at least had somebody in authority over us, at least at one point in time, that we couldn't stand.
That's right. Oh, goodness.
And if they didn't have the authority, we would have said a lot of other things to them. Because they had that authority, because they could say you're fired, well, our tongues were constrained.
That's right, Pastor. Amen.
I personally had it happen in my life, where there was someone in authority or somebody over me. And I had to pray the prayer, Lord, you don't have to remove them out of authority, but remove them from authority over me. Uh-oh.
All right, amen.
And what God did is he removed them from authority over me.
Amen.
Simply because I asked. So he said, now you can speak to this mountain. He said, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall be removed. And nothing shall be impossible unto you. I'm closing. So because if you have this faith, nothing is going to be impossible unto you because the door is cracked. Treat somebody and just say, crack the door.
Crack the door.
Just leave the door open a little bit.
Leave the door open a little
And
bit.
don't leave the key under the mat. I hope y'all don't still do that. No, have mercy. That's the first place they're going to check. And don't leave it outside nowhere. The flower pot, the mailbox, the mat, amen. Any crook knows to that's what I would check it out. But bless the wonderful name of Jesus. Leave the door cracked just a little bit and allow his blessing to come in. He said, all you gotta do is just leave the door unlocked. You don't have to leave it wide open. Just leave it unlocked.
Yes,
And
amen.
allow me to come in.
Amen.
Just like with cell phones, I talked about how we look at them. Now they're getting a little better because the screens can cut off and lock. But whatever still happens every once in a while, whatever happens every once in a while, Mr. Thomas, whatever happens once in a while, is sometimes I'll get a phone call. Anybody ever got a phone call? And I'll just say, hello? 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 And I hear a conversation going on in the background, hello? And I say, Lord have mercy, they done mistake dialed me again. But sometimes, everybody don't do this. Sometimes I don't say hello the next time.
Just listen.
I want to see what they're talking about. If my name going to come out, so I'm just going to listen real tight and just real close. I ain't going to say nothing. Because they left it open.
Yes.
Sister Omarosa had a phone just like this. Press the red button on the phone and left the door open. Leave the door open. He can't bless. They say a closed mouth can't be fed. God can't bless unless I leave the door open. But in order to leave the door open, I've got to trust who's coming in. Why do we lock our doors? For safety. But when you're not home, why do you have to be at home? If that's the case, you would leave it unlocked when you left the house. Not just safety.
Security.
You want to protect your stuff.
Security, yeah.
Security. You want to protect your stuff that you paid for.
That's right.
If you paid for something, you want to protect it.
Amen.
Why do we put money in the bank?
Security.
Savings, money. All the
Savings.
saints can't say savings, so they y'all tell the truth in here. It ain't just security.
To secure it, yes.
And keep it, it's self-control, but mostly security. If you walk into a bad neighborhood and you have $800, do you say, I'm about to go down Avon, let me go take let me go slip this in my right pocket and just take a walk outside and just look at the goodness of the Lord and put $800 in cash. I'm just going to walk out here and smile and think about the Lord.
No.
Somebody will call you crazy. Then you come in church crying, Pastor, I was out there and they took all $800 from me. Were you on your way to the bank? No!